Hi, spooky people. Welcome to the Spooky and Weird with Sue St. Blaine. In an earlier video, I talked about what scares you. I think it actually was called What Scares You, so that's imaginative. And I talked about the different kinds of things that push a person's fear buttons. And I wanted to talk about for me, one of the scariest movies ever, The Haunting, 1963. You must remember that no other version of The Haunting or anything related to it has ever been released ever. The Haunting from 1963 is the only one. Although I will give a nod to House on Haunted Hill from 1959, William Castle and Vincent Price, because William Castle and Vincent Price, some of the greatest, most quotable lines. If you've never seen that movie, you simply must. One of Jasper's ancestors is actually in that movie. Yeah, you'll see. It's got so many great lines. It makes wrinkles because it's Vincent Price, and Vincent Price rocks my entire world. So I'll give a pass to that one, but otherwise, no, there's not been anything. So for me, it's actually one of the scariest movies ever made, and I will get into why. And some people will disagree with that because there's a different fear button for them, and that's totally cool. I'm not a jump scare, super gore, body... No, I mean, okay, some body horror's all right, but just basically revenge porn. Not my thing. I'm going to give a plug again to Does the Dog Die, in case you didn't see any of my previous videos. That is a website that not only dogs, but kind of any animal and animal cruelty, anything like that, kind of prepare you for that. DoesTheDogDie.com. Okay. I'm also going to talk about The Haunting because it's Pride Month. It's June when I'm recording this. It's June 2023, and it's Pride Month. And The Haunting is kind of revolutionary in its depiction of a lesbian character. If you've never seen it, again, I encourage you to see it because it's really scary. But if you have, and you didn't catch the subtext, it's not really subtext, it's pretty clear. It's kind of amazing. Now let me talk about the characters in question. The main character is called Eleanor, or Nellie. She is very timid, she's very anxious to get out from underneath her sister's thumb, from her mother's, she's been a caretaker for her mother for, I don't remember how many years, but a very long time. Thankless, nobody else would help her out. So she's being treated like a child by her sister. So she gets an invitation out of the blue. She doesn't know this person. She gets an invitation to come up to this manor house, this house on Haunted Hill. It's based on the story by Shirley Jackson. She also wrote The Lottery, and if you've been to an American school system, you have more than likely read The Lottery. It's very disturbing. I digress. That's Shirley Jackson. She wrote the story, and I encourage you to read. Well, I encourage you to read, obviously, especially if they're my books. So she's trying to get out from under her sister's thumb. She gets this invitation, and she goes there. And I'm not going to give much more than that because I want it to unveil for you. So I won't go into too much detail on stuff, but when she gets there, there's already a lady there called Theodora. Everybody calls her Theo. Theo is fantastically beautiful. This is aside from the plot, but just as a matter of empirical fact, she's gorgeous. She's got kind of a beatnik thing going on for the time, all in black. Her hair's up in a sort of, is that a beehive? I'm not quite sure, but her hair's up in this style. So the plot of the movie is again, not something I'm really going to go into too much, but The subtext, it's pretty clear. It's actually very clear that Theodora is a lesbian, but she is not the other. She's a solid, fully formed character, and she's not there to be a morality tale. She's not there to be the big scary gay person, as it was pretty much always prior to that. Gay people were in films to be hurt, or be the villain, or be the stereotype, grotesque stereotype. And Theo is none of those things. She doesn't go after Nellie. She doesn't, sort of, which was so often the case. There is definitely a tension between her and Nellie, and I think, just from my perspective, I don't know if this is what he intended, but I think that Nellie is clearly attracted, but she's conflicted, and she's also slowly going insane, which puts a damper on romance. Theo doesn't go insane, not in any way. She's solid throughout the whole movie. When they are scared, when supernatural things, that's not a spoiler, I mean, that's the whole point of the movie. When supernatural things are happening, they jump into bed and they hold each other because it's fucking scary. But they're just people. And that was not common at the time. As a matter of fact, even into the 80s, 90s, that wasn't common. We still had the stereotypes. We still had the screaming queens and the, sort of butch dykes. And not to suggest there are not screaming queens and butch dykes. I know them. But when it's represented that way, it's obviously meant to be derogatory. Most of the time. Nothing is, obviously, I suppose, but it usually is. So, that was a really big deal. And I think it's worthy of note, especially during Pride Month. The LGBTQ community is not exactly... It's a really bad time for them. I could enumerate them, but there's too many. We've all heard the news, and it's horrific. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not what it used to be. It's not good, and it could get a lot worse. It could get a lot worse. But courts are striking down some of these laws, some of these draconian laws. I guess I'm just trying to put it in perspective, especially when we're talking about this movie. It was just an amazing thing. So why does it scare me, specifically, this movie? Because you never, ever, ever see a monster. There's no visible sort of creature. There's one kind of jump scare. I think I can only recall one near the end. That's the only one I can think of. Everything else is what you don't see. Everything else is sounds and voices and chanting and knocking, just all this sort of thing, and the not knowing, and frankly, insanity. Insanity, going insane, that's terrifying. Nell was not the picture of stability in the first place, but all of these things, and I won't sort of go into any of that, but slowly drives her insane. This is not a spoiler. This is completely obvious it's going to happen. And the idea of slowly losing your mind like that is one of the scariest parts of the movie, is that idea. The idea of feeling yourself go mad, feeling yourself lose control, and then it overtaking you 100%, and there's nothing to be done. That is terrifying. And that's what happens to Nell. So I encourage you to see this movie. I encourage you to, it's black and white, 1963, and the black and white is perfect. It's far more, lends more to the atmosphere and the shadows and all of that great stuff. Give it a shot. You may not like it if you are more on the sort of, no disrespect to Rob Zombie, but House on Haunted Hill, or The Haunting, rather. And his movies are completely different. If you're looking for more of that Michael Bay sort of thing, that explosions and whatnot, this is not going to appeal to you. Probably. I encourage you to watch it anyway, just in case. So that is my recommendation to you, my little film review for you. Honestly, I've seen this movie 100,000 times or so, and it never ceases to scare me, because it is what scares me. So if you'd like to read my books, you can go to SueSt.Blaine.com/books, or go to SueSt.Blaine.com and click on books. You'll find my novella, Last Text, and my collection of short stories, Frozen Shadows. You'll find those there along with my first book, which is not actually fiction. You can also visit me on my Facebook page, HelloSpookyPeople.com. It's a great community of horror fans, just wonderful, wonderful group of people, and I think you'll have fun there. And in the meantime, if you like this video, please click Ermastus's skull, which is subscribe, and click like on the video, and that would be wonderful. And I hope to see you next time. Bye, spooky people.